Black.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to the video. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Drowning Pool, and you're listening to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. We are here live today with Mr. Mark Daly. And Mark, I have to say, man, you have impeccable timing. Literally just logged in right as our theme was ending. So
amazing. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
absolutely, man. How you doing?
Good. Coming towards the end of the tour, so exhaustion is kicking in, but pretty good.
Where are you at today?
We're at West Point, the military academy today.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah, so we're going to play a show for all the cadets here now tonight.
Well, let's start, man, by I'm sure that a lot of our audience isn't going to know much about you. So let's start by kind of just bringing them up to speed. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from, what brought you to this point in music, and let's start there.
Yeah, so I'm from Cork in Ireland. Live out in the countryside out in Ireland. I've been playing music now since I was about 19, pretty much full time. And yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years, and all of a sudden we're out in the US opening for Mr. Big and playing to these big crowds and releasing new music, and it's been a fun journey.
That's awesome. What would you say? I mean, listening to the music, it's pretty straightforward rock music, very singer-songwriter, the type of stuff you would expect. But what would you call out as some of your inspirations? What are some of the reasons that you're doing music? Are there any like influences you could call out, even if they're like not famous people?
Yeah, well, I suppose in Ireland we're kind of surrounded by music all the time. When you go into a pub, there's always like music playing. There's always like traditional Irish stuff as well, which is quite deep lyrically. But I've always been surrounded by music. And when I kind of got into my teenage years, I started listening to more rock bands and some heavier stuff, and really, really got into it. So yeah, a lot of bands I love. Like I like classic rock and I love modern rock. I like mixing the two. And big fans of like bands like Blue October, Highly Suspect, Foo Fighters, but then like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Yellow, like a nice mixture between the old and the new.
Yeah. I mean, Ireland obviously pretty famous for being outspoken, having a lot of outspoken artists and things like that. Are there any kind of themes with any of your music today that are kind of political tinged or anything that's kind of controversial that you're talking about in any of your songs right now?
Not political really, but I do write about like my life experiences, and I do write honestly. I write about family. I write about just things that you have to go through, and just my kind of journey. It's a lot of it. On the new record, I've stepped out of my comfort zone. I'm writing about like in a third person or things, other people's experiences, which was a lot of fun to kind of branch out into that. But most of my stuff is just kind of life experiences, and that's it really.
So I listened to the single. Do you have a full album coming out in the next little while?
Yes.
And when is that due? And tell us a little bit about the process behind that.
Yes, so we have a full record coming in the summer. It's called Devil's Arms is the record. We recorded it in September in El Paso, Texas.
Wow.
It was amazing down there. And we worked with Brian Virtue. And he is an incredible producer. And I think it's our most exciting stuff we've ever done. We've gone nice and heavy in some songs, and we've gone deep and dark in others. And it's a real roller coaster.
So when I looked you up, there's a lot of references to Mark Daly and the Ravens. Are you still going as Mark Daly and the Ravens, or is it just completely Mark Daly?
This record is the first one where it's the whole band. Like we went into studio as a band and recorded as a band, so it is a different sound. It's kind of what I've wanted to do for a long time, but between COVID and other things happening, I ended up having to record the records by myself or working with the producer. So this one is the first kind of full band one, and when we're out on the road, we're Mark Daly and the Ravens. That's the band. So yeah,
Got you.
that's where that's popping up.
So you're playing as a full band right now.
Yes, yeah, full rock band.
That's really cool. So you kind of started out doing the kind of solo thing, and then were able to evolve it as you went.
Yeah, I was in a band beforehand called the Voodoos, and we did a bit for a couple of years, and then when I went solo, I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what kind of style. I kind of did like more of a laid back kind of acoustic-y kind of record first, and then I was like, I really wanted to go back to the rock stuff. And then I did something a bit heavier with the Nothing to Lose EP, and I was like, yes, this is the direction I want to go. And now the new record, I feel like the new record is the record I've been just wanting to do my whole life.
Gotcha. Well, it's interesting. I was looking at I watched this YouTuber who does like kind of like the Spotify pop chart recaps and stuff, and it was interesting to see that a lot of the top songs right now are actual songs. Like they're not auto-tuned like AI, trap beats and stuff.
Yep.
It's like real like songwriters, and like organic music, I think, is kind of making a comeback. Like I feel like there's kind of a backlash to all the over processed stuff that we've been listening to for the last 10 years or so.
I agree. I think it got to the point where it was just too much, and people like to hear that human feel in a song, and it was like even on the record, we're not auto tuning it, and we're not trying to make it perfect. There's a real human feel. There's a song on the new record called Brighter Days, and that was the perfect example. It's just a pure feel song. The structure is not a typical song structure. There's a long solo in it. It goes way past the amount of time you're supposed to do in these days on song, and we made sure that we did songs on the record that were like that, just that felt real and authentic and had a real storyline with a real life experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting to see that trend because I just feel like stuff has been so over processed for such a long time. Even in the metal world, there's a lot of computerized stuff, and it's kind of like I saw this quote the other day that was so good. The guy said something about, he's like, rock. I feel like rock has kind of lost that like aggressiveness and sloppiness that it used to have. That kind of like just, and I don't know if sloppiness is the best word, but just kind of like just the raw emotion is much more important than the calculated execution.
I completely agree with that. I think it's really nice to have that, and for that to be okay,
So how much longer are you guys out on this current tour?
So we just finished our last show with Mr. Big last night, and that was incredible. And now we've got our headline show tonight up here in New York, and then we head to Ohio to finish off in Marysville, and then back home. So I'll be back home next week, back in Ireland.
Back overseas.
Yes.
So the record, when does the record come out?
It comes out in July, but we're going to release a single off the record every 4 to 6 weeks. So we're doing like a waterfall release so the first one came out last Friday, and the next one is a song called Pieces that's out next month. And we have I collaborated with Emily Armstrong of the band Dead Sarah, who I really love, like a band I've been listening to for years, and it's just amazing to me that Emily ended up working on the track, and super happy with this one. Can't wait for everyone to hear it.
That's great. Well, so once the record comes out, are you going to be out on the road out here in the States again, or what's your plans kind of for the remainder of the year?
Yes, funnily, most of our plans are US based. I feel like it really clicks here. We've got amazing support here, so our plan is to release this new music and some music videos and to come back to the US again this year.
That's great. Well, tell people the record, obviously the singles are coming out and they're consecutively building up to the record release in the summer. Tell people where they can follow you, where they can see you, anything else you want to shout out.
So our main place for like one-stop shop is the website, where it has everything, merch, tour dates, links to music and stuff. That's all up on markdalyofficial.com. And then we kind of post our tour madness on Instagram, really, mostly. Stories up there. And yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Mark Daly Music.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you for taking the time today, man. I hope to see you out on the road if you come through California. And the music's great. I hope people will check it out. And I'm looking forward to hearing the full album when it drops in the summer. And come back and talk to me again sometime. Oh, did we freeze up? That might have just been a good time.
Sorry,
oh, there we go.
My connection dropped.
Oh, no, you're good, man. I thought I lost you a little early. Yeah, please come back through and talk to me again, man. I really appreciate your time today. The music's great, and looking forward to hearing the rest of it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on, and definitely I'll hit you up when this record comes out.
Let's talk again. Take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, guys, that was Mark Daly. Mark Daly and the Ravens. And so he has kind of an interesting trajectory in that he kind of started out as like almost like if you've ever heard like Iron and Wine or like some of those kind of more singer-songwriter type performers. And now he's got a full band and they're doing more of like a hard rock thing out on tour with Mr. Big, a tour that he just finished. So the full album, as he mentioned, drops in July. And what a really cool guy. So definitely check that out. I have prepared for you today some additional viewing material. Let's put it that way. And I have a bunch of stuff. I'm going to save some of it for tomorrow because tomorrow we have Molly Diago, who's another singer-songwriter type who's kind of doing more of a hard rock vibe, who's going to be on tomorrow. And so I'm going to save. I have a bunch of clips about women in metal I'm going to save for her. But I wanted to talk about your boy, Sebastian Bach, was on Steve-O's podcast recently. And there's some really good clips in here. But let's start with this one where he talks about being a kid in Canada and Motley Crue were partying in
Right
Canada.
this way, singer of band. I guess you had the best blow. It's T.O.
So it's funny, T.O. is Toronto because he's from Toronto, but listen to this story.
That was me, man. And they were my best buddies that night. Tommy and Nikki, and we were fucking dude.
Sebastian Bach's voice, his speaking voice, does not match his singing voice. It's interesting. I've never, before watching this, I'd never really heard the guy speak much.
Some schnozola. some
sniffle snacks.
Yeah.
Some schnoz.
Some beer sodas.
And they're like, you're coming backstage tomorrow. I go, yeah, I am. You better believe it. I was like the best.
Did you bring blow backstage the next night?
Yes, I did. And I brought black hash and I was smoking it in the backstage room. And Fred Saunders said, hey, please don't smoke hash backstage. And I was like, fuck, it's Motley Crue. Like,
dude, how about that show?
Yeah,
too?
wow.
How about that show? When,
that was the 80s, by the way, I have to say, for all these people listening.
This was the Girls tour
87
of 1987. And
Okay,
this was
I
the
just
tour.
have to look, how old is Sebastian Bach? Because he can't be much older than me. I'm 45. I guess he can be much older than me. He was born April 3rd of 1968, which would make him... which would make him, as I do the math on my calculator here, 55. 55? Really? Yeah, I mean, I could have just looked at Wikipedia there. Wow, he's only 55. He needs to get some exercise, I think.
When Tommy Lee's drum set came up over the crowd and then rotated upside down.
I have a funny story about that, too.
And at the beginning of that drum solo, there was like, all right, Vince says, you want to have a drink with the crew, Toronto?
This is actually
And,
kind of awesome.
So
The story.
then, like, Nikki
Steve
Sixx, like, brings a bottle of Jack Daniels. He's like, all right, we're gonna, and Nikki like pours. He's like sprays the crowd with the Jack Daniels so that they can like tell it's real whiskey. They're not like it's not fake. Right. And then, so now it's like cheers to the crowd. We're gonna have a drink, and Nikki like just puts the bottle upside down, just chugging, and on each chug, Tommy Lee like boom, boom, like timing the chugs with like drum beats, boom, boom.
They're putting down a fifth.
Just chugging whiskey, and that's how the drum solo started. Boom, 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 and that like what an epic way to start a drum solo.
Well, I have a couple of
and I would think they would do that as a gimmick. They would just put like food coloring or like water down the whiskey, but apparently Steve was saying they sprayed it on the crowd just to prove, hey, this is legit.
Comments to that is the tour before. 2 tours before, because there was Theater of Pain.
Yeah.
And I went to that. I went to it in Toronto, and then me and my buddies got in our car and drove to Ottawa and watched it again. And
so
but
Sebastian's
the tour
basically
before
10
that,
years
the
older than
first time Motley Crue played Toronto was Shout at the Devil.
So they would have been opening for Ozzy.
No, except was opening for them. Nice. They were headlining at the little tiny CNE grandstand arena, which was like 4,000 seater. So we were so freaked out that Motley Crue was headlining in Toronto on the Shout at the Devil tour. So we got a bunch of mushrooms and went and stayed overnight in line. Like we got there at like 6 p.m. and I was like 14.
Nice.
And doing shrooms. Okay, now this is in Nikki's book.
Which one? I mean,
doing shrooms in
book 4
1982. Wow.
Yeah, well, so this was in the book. We woke up, okay, and we didn't really sleep, obviously, right? We thought it was a great idea, and fucking we're all whacked out and up on shrooms and shit. And we're right at the very, very front. In fact, me and my buddies are smushed up against like the glass like this, like this, like and all these croutons are behind us pushing, and this crazy guy next to me with no shirt on and shit, and he was all drunk and everything, and he goes, this shit, he goes, we're not staying here, and he turns around and this is all true, he kicks the glass out of the front of the CNE grandstand doors, and I go, and we bend down, and the whole crowd runs in.
Wow.
And there was like 1,000 kids, and we rushed the stage. I remember this like yesterday, and the crew's on the stage, and they back up and go, whoa, whoa. And we get right to the front, and we go, crew, 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 crew. And it was like 2 p.m. And they're trying to set up.
Sound check.
Yes. And Nikki remembers this. They had to pay. He goes, that was you? I go, well, it was a guy next to me, but I was the first one in. And they had to pay for all the new doors and shit. Wow. And the cops came in. The band did? Yes. The cops came in and said, get the fuck out of here. And we were all scared. We were going to get arrested. And that was fun times.
Jesus.
Wow.
Shout at the devil, yeah. But that was good. That was a different time. Like, if any of my kids are watching this, like, I don't do it anymore.
Kind of crazy that Motley Crue had to pay for the doors, too, that their fans broke. I mean, it makes sense, but it's still kind of messed up that they held those bands responsible for that. So anyway, here's another story Sebastian Bach tells
Tommy
about
Lee.
drugs. This is the whole thing about drugs. This is great.
I got some black ash. He goes, give me that. And it's just like a little cube. And he just takes it, and in his fingers with the match, it goes, well, what the fuck? Like, it's not rolling it or blending. He's just, give me that fucking.
It's great to hear these stories because Motley Crue is absolutely the like crazed party animals that you thought they were.
There's no art.
And I'm going, That's really cutting to the chase. I don't think he's going for taste.
No, he's just trying to get high.
What a bro.
Hey, we asked Tommy how'd they smuggle drugs into different like countries.
Oh yeah.
What was your favorite tactic?
Well, I have a funny little story. We opened for Motley Crue in Russia, the first Russian
Jesus.
metal show.
Oh, this is the one where
Moscow,
everybody was on
That's
the
right.
airplane and they were
Yes.
sober.
Yeah.
Were they really sober?
No.
Yeah.
I can say that now. It's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. They.
But I said that then, and Tommy, I was backstage in Russia, and he's walking towards me, and he goes, "Did you fucking say?" And he grabs me, he goes, "Did you fucking say some shit?" And I go, "Ah!" And I go, if I was bragging about drinking with Motley Crue, I was such a fan. Like,
Yeah.
how can you not say I was partying with the Crew? I mean, sorry.
They would have the world believe that they recorded Dr. Feelgood all completely sober. And for me as a kid, and what made me love Motley Crue, like I had to boycott that album.
Well, I can tell you, you can listen to it.
Yeah. So what was the story
So
behind this?
I was in
Sebastian Bach goes, well, I can tell you, you can listen to it.
Russia. I was in Russia.
Hey,
And
when
I
Ozzy was there.
I asked the road crew, the Russian road crew, you guys got any black hash, man? And this one Russian dude goes, "Oh, comrade, yes, you wait right there." And he goes and gets me a bunch of hash, and I'm telling Doc on the way home, I go, "Yeah, Doc, I had some left over, so leaving Russia, I had these pointy white boots, and I put them right in the toe, man, and I walked through the airport like that, and I go, and you know, and Doc looks at me and goes, "Oh, they'll never think of that." Like,
Yeah, it's the first
Whoa,
place
you
they're
put
gonna
it-
check.
Whoa. I go, "Yeah." I put it in my shoe, and I was walking around. I goes, "Whoa." He
Yeah,
goes,
it's the first thing.
"That's
they're
some
gonna
next level smuggling right there." Wow. They'll never think of that. Like,
Yeah.
and I go, "Wow, maybe I shouldn't have did that."
But what
He
other
would know, by the way.
what other
That's what the whole concert was about.
what other places would you smuggle drugs into?
Into?
Or would you get them there?
Well, let's clarify this right. I don't do, the only thing I like still is smoking weed, and that's
weed.
legal everywhere. I don't mess with nothing else.
But in the '80s, it was
Back
like
then we did coke, and we didn't know. We honest to God didn't know it was bad. I'll tell you when I knew it was bad, in like the year 91 or something. You can Google this. When did Len Bias die? Maybe that was 89.
The basketball player.
Yes.
And that was not.
That's
that was
right.
from smoking crack, right?
86? I can't.
cardiac arrhythmia.
Okay, then what I just said is bullshit. Because I like, that was the day, and I was definitely doing it after that day.
I mean,
I was like, when I
Yeah,
turned
it's
a
the
new
blur.
leaf,
you might have
I'm
found out about
definitely
it.
not an. No, but I remember saying, "What do you mean he died at
Yeah.
37 from doing blow?" And they go, and then people are explaining to me, "Well, if you do a line and it hits your heart like the wrong way, you can have a heart attack and die." And I go, well, I don't like it that much, you know. And I
Yeah.
really, really hate the feeling like when you run out and you're trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
tell me
there's
about
none
it.
left, and you're calling people, and it's 11 a.m. and
Crying in the shower.
and you're like, I look up at it, I go, "Lord Jesus, if you just
Yeah.
let me go to fucking sleep, I'll never fucking do this again."
Dude, I remember.
For sure.
And then you go to sleep and you do it again.
And you
I
take
remember at the
Xanax.
time when there was like the Motorola Razr cell phone, like I was in such this hellish condition that Sebastian's explaining,
my God.
and like I'm calling the drug dealer to get more drugs because I want them so bad, but I'm so worn out. Like that I'm gonna
Oh my
crash,
God, yeah.
and so I'm laying down on the floor and literally using my my Motorola Razr as a pillow, so that if it rings,
Razr.
it'll wake me up and so I can do more drugs.
Oh my
But if not, then I'm just gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, drugs will do that to you. I guess the message of this show, kids, is stay no to drugs. Because aside from the good times, There's a lot of crazy stuff. This last clip is him talking about living in Vegas.
Why'd you choose Vegas to live out here?
Well, there's a couple reasons. During the pandemic,
The doctors are great out here.
I lived in Thousand Oaks for like 3 years, and then before that, Studio City.
Thousand Oaks, right up the street from me, and I'm sure you've heard me tell the story about running into Sebastian Bach and the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, Pedro, at a bar in Thousand Oaks. So that checks out.
Yeah.
We got evacuated 2 years out of 3 in Thousand Oaks for fires.
The fires that the big
coming
fires
right
that
near
happened.
coming right near our house, and I'm like, fuck this. Like, I mean, one of the hardest.
That is true too. That was like 2017, I think, when there was huge, massive wildfires out here, and a lot of people were evacuated, myself included.
Gigs I ever had to do. I was in Orlando, Florida, and my house was getting evacuated while I was playing that night. And my wife's like, "We're evacuated," and my kids are like, "What do we take?" and shit. And I had to go on stage and go, "Hey!" and I was like, my brain was like, "Dude, your fucking house is gonna burn down.
Yeah.
Like, how can I go out and rock?"
Yeah.
But I just went out there and I said to the crowd, "Listen, man, my house might burn down during the show."
And everybody's like, "Whoa!"
All right,
like,
well,
"No,
I
seriously."
paid $20, motherfucker. So you better sing, bitch.
Yeah,
but,
nobody cares.
No, but I said, I said, right on. Well, it's time for the show to start. So, let's go. We are the youth gone wild, man. It's fun.
My house is about to burn down, crowd.
Fucking go. And I'm like going up there like, ah.
We
all
having
go wild.
insurance, and everybody's like, "Yeah." Yeah.
Actually, what's crazy is that my house in Jersey that I lost in Hurricane Irene, that happened during a concert that I was opening for Twisted Sister in fucking Colorado or something. I come off stage and like, everybody's like, "Hey, man," and my house flooded, and like I lost my home during that concert. So that
Really?
would have been the second time.
You had it
I
flooded.
was playing on stage in like Idaho or something. It was Godsmack, Sebastian Bach, and opening for Twisted Sister. And when I came off, there was a hurricane in Jersey, Hurricane Irene, if you want to Google
Yeah.
it.
That's
Watch
like
this.
not that long ago, bro.
Right, I remember
Hurricane
Irene.
Irene, Sebastian Bach. You want to see some fucking depressing shit?
Did it take your house away, or just flooded the
Watch
shit out?
this.
Yeah. The crowd's cheering as your fucking house. Is
Hey
going
man,
over the hurricane.
Sebastian Bach loses home to Hurricane Irene. They have worse pictures than that. Go back to the images because it shows my house like fucking underwater and shit. There it is. There's my house underwater. There it is. Right.
Anyway, that's very interesting, as you can tell. Tomorrow night, watch the whole interview with Sebastian Bach if you want to hear more Motley Crue drug stories and stories about his house. His home is burning down. I thought it was interesting as a longtime fan of Skid Row. If you're a fan of Skid Row and you from that era, I'm sure you'll find it interesting too. Even if you're not, it's pretty interesting. So tomorrow we have Molly Diago, and I've got some clips to talk about from this documentary about women in metal. So that'll be interesting. Maybe she'll stick around and chat, maybe not. We'll find out. It's Friday, so it's Casual Friday on BPM Live. And my boy Joey has been out. Next week we have a pretty great lineup already, and a couple more people maybe creeping in there. But Monday we've got Soil, and then Friday of next week we have Keith Wallen, who is the guitar player from Breaking Benjamin, who's doing some solo stuff that's frankly pretty damn good. I was listening to it the other day and I was kind of impressed, really impressed actually. I mean, it sounds like he probably plays a big part in the songwriting process for Breaking Benjamin. And it's pretty clear in the stuff that he's writing on his own that he's got some skill. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, and keep it brutal, all that good shit.